Hello and welcome to the Real Act Redo TV, movie reviews, entertainment news, and so much more. As always, I'm your host Tucker, joined today with Ethan and Aiden.
How you Tucker, I just want to say that was very, very enthusiastic, and I really appreciated that. So much more.
And so that's now a thing. And so much more. Yeah, I like that. I like that. That's that.
Did you guys notice my Omni-Man punch? Remember that?
Ooh, nice. I didn't even notice that. That's nice.
It's the most tragic moment in the show.
Ready?
You come to the realization of everything.
I wouldn't say tragic.
I'm doing okay. How are you doing, Tucker?
I'm stressed. I got a lot going on, but it's been a little bit better because we've had not one but two great shows. We just did our review for Falcon Winter Soldier. Make sure you go check that out. But we also got a second amazing, fantastic superhero show, Invincible. And that's what we'll be discussing today.
A little optimistic. Just a little optimistic.
Well,
very optimistic.
Invincible follows Mark Grayson as he discovers he has powers in this world full of superheroes that are definitely not based on any characters from DC or Marvel. War Woman. This show is great. Same creator, Robert Kirkman, who does the Walking Dead comics, also a fantastic comic book and show. You need to go check those out if you haven't. But this show, man, took me by surprise. I was not thinking it was gonna be this good, and it was fantastic. I think Robert Kirkman is just doing a fantastic job and killed it again with another property. So let's start out. I like starting out with what we dislike just because let's get the negativity out of the way. So let's talk about what we did not like about the show. Aiden?
One of the things that I just thought was like, and like I thought Rex Flode was just like, I didn't find it that interesting. But a lot of the other characters I liked. Initially, I didn't like Sinclair that much, but then I like how they actually kind of use him, but they don't really you don't really see him. Like they use his stuff, but you don't really see him much more after that episode. And there's one other thing. I'm blanking. But yeah, there really wasn't that. I guess the biggest criticism is that it's called Invincible.
Well, I think that's the point.
I think it's very funny. The one thing, like, I get it, but I never really, like, fully got it was, like, the whole arc of, like, Adam, Eve, like, leaving, kind of just doing stuff on her own. I'm like, how does that work? Like, does she just kind of, like, is she like a scanner or something? Or she just check, like, it's not like if you see something on the news on your phone, it's already happened, you know? Like, that kind of defeats the purpose. But overall...
Also with Adam, Eve, it feels like her powers are so unbelievably OP that they had to like downgrade her for several parts of the show because she could literally just fix everything in a second.
Could you just make anything? Like, could you just
like,
control matter? Like,
in the final episode, she could just show up to that city and like save everybody by just turning all the rubble into gas and just letting it lift up above everybody.
Yeah, how does that work? Can't you just like pull apart someone like atom by atom and just like?
I don't know, but anyway. Things I didn't like. I think that this show is almost too faithful to how comics work. Because in my opinion, I think there's just too much going on at points. I think there's like too many characters. I think there's too many plot lines. And apparently they even cut out some plot lines from the comic. So it's kind of hard to believe how that would work in the comic with even more plot lines than there are.
I know, it seems nuts.
There was just some elements, like certain episodes, specifically there was one at the college. I didn't like that episode. There was just a couple that here and there that...
Yeah, the college one I didn't like, but overall...
It just felt flat because it was just... You have this this happens with a lot of shows that you have episodes going weekly because you have this really good story about the dynamic between Mark and his dad. And like, what was it, episode 5 or 6 when he gets like brutally just destroyed in that building.
Oh yeah.
And you just see Omni-Man just like above the building there, and it was such a good ending. And I believe the episode after that was the college episode. And so when you leave it a cliffhanger like that, and then you wait a week and you're just like, oh, all right. I mean, it just feels very like disappointing, and just let's move on to the stuff I actually like the show for. I think some people might disagree with me for that. That's just me. I don't like a lot of the extra stuff. I don't. My least favorite part of the show is actually the superhero aspect, like with all the other characters other than Mark and his dad. I just think there's just a lot going on to me, and I didn't really find anyone in particular interesting other than Mark or his dad. It was just
I'd say there's certain interesting aspects to it. Like
I liked Amber. She's not a superhero, and Adam Eve was okay, but like that's really it. I think they could do less characters and more fleshing out those characters. I just felt like a lot, and yeah, I didn't like Rex either. I think that was a weird plot line. There's just a lot. It just feels kind of messy for me.
oh, that's why it sounds so familiar. Sorry, I was looking at the show. The guy, Titan, who has like the rock shell.
Oh yeah, Mahershala Ali.
Yeah, I was like, why do I know his voice?
We'll get into the cast in just a bit, because that's a good one, a good discussion. No, I kind of agree. I think it's a show that when it's finished and we look back, we understand, okay, that's why they did that there. That's why that college episode is there. I think we are going to realize that later on. Some shows do that, where it's like that episode doesn't make any sense. Why is that there? But then 5 seasons later, we're like, okay, that makes a lot more sense. So I think, yeah, I agree with you guys. Like, it did
funny how they brought back the cyborgs. Do you remember the cyborgs from the college episode? And how they were, like, the only things to beat Invincible, but they never like utilized those at all to destroy Omni-Man. Like,
yes, they do.
Oh, they did.
They did.
Yes.
Remember when like after the freaking laser, they send like the 3 pods of like 4 of them down, and they actually like kind of do something. Yes, they show him with Cecil making more.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm like, they used to actually a decent amount. Yeah.
But let's talk about the cast, man. The cast of the show.
J.K. Simmons, my man.
Walter Goggins. Sandra.
Get his name right, Tucker.
What?
Walton Goggins. Gosh.
I said that.
You said Walter.
No, I said Walton.
Yeah, I'll play it back. Guys, play it 10 seconds back. Tell me in the comments below, did he say Walter or Walton? Thank you.
You got Mahershala Ali. You got the girl from Community. The guy who plays Rex, I forgot his name, but I love him. He's in Brooklyn Nine-Nine for a season. He's so good and so
Seth Rogen.
Who
I forgot he was in
this.
And then Mark Hamill as a cameo. That was
Mark Hamill. Oh man, the cast in this show is
it's kind of funny because we were watching the first episode.
Zachary Quinto.
Oh, that's right. No, so Tucker and I were watching the first episode together, and I joked, and I'm like, I'm just gonna go out and make the assumption that Mark Hamill was in this show somewhere. And like 2 minutes later, Mark Hamill showed up as the guy, and I was laughing, and I was like, "Did you know he was in it?" And he was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Damn, I hit it."
I've been excited for this show for a very long time.
So I heard stuff about it, but I didn't really pay that close attention to it, and I'm glad that I watched it. It was
yeah.
But I will say one of the animation style in this show is incredible. Like I love it feels like a comic book, but not the same way that like Spider-Verse feels like a comic book. But it still feels very true, and I love it.
And I there are some points where you can kind of see like budget was limited on the animation, and I like how they put the money towards a cast. I like that they didn't it wasn't a limited budget. They were like, here, we're gonna take some money out of the animation budget, and we're gonna give it to like the cast. This A-list. This is A-list cast.
Well, like Red Rush, I love how it wasn't even like him moving.
Yes,
it was just a still image, and he just moved. That was great. I love it.
They literally just spent like 2 hours just putting like a lens flare on the back of him, and that's all they did for him.
Oh, I also love that Robert Kirkman, who also did The Walking Dead and works on the show, he got Walking Dead alumni to voice the Guardians of the Globes. I really like that.
Oh, they did? I didn't realize that. That's cool.
Yeah, they're all from The Walking Dead. So that's really cool. I think the animation was so simple. I love it when, it doesn't, not everything needs to be a Pixar. I love it simple things that like you just and what I love is that they make the surrounding area very still, so you're focusing on mainly the characters, the main characters themselves, and not the surrounding area. And I think that really works for this show, for this type of story. You want to focus on the characters rather than the surrounding area. But man, and also this show made my jaw drop so many times, and no show. The only show that has done that is The Boys. The only show that's done that is The Boys. That is.
I think The Boys definitely does it better, but they're different things. They're very different.
True.
It's like this show, because I think the way that this show proved to me that this is something fresh is the dynamic. As I said before, that's my favorite part of the show. The dynamic between Mark and his dad is just so well done, so well written, and it's jaw dropping at points.
It feels like, I feel like the best way to explain this show is like it really feels like for especially from Mark, it's a mix between Spider-Man and Superman, where like obviously they have like Superman-ish powers, but it still addresses the like, hey, I need to balance like my superhero life with like my social life and all these things. But I feel like it takes each one of those and puts it together to make something of its own. And I think that the whole father-son dynamic is not the only interesting thing in this show, but that's like the highlight. But the like Sandra Oh as Debbie Grayson, that's such an interesting dynamic. Like I love the line that she says. Yeah. The line that she says, it was you and me and your superhero father, and now it's you two and your normal mom. I was like, I love that. I was like, that's really true. So things like that were still super interesting to me. And the action of the show was great. People give him shit. I still love this character. Cecil is awesome. Like,
I like
this guy. It's so funny. They never actually illustrated it very well. So when I first saw him, when he had the flag pin and everything, I'm like, because they had the Mahler twins had invaded the White House. I'm like, is that the president? I'm like, that guy. Like, I was like, oh, okay. It's just okay.
That was Walton Goggins, right? That's who he was
playing. Yeah. No, but like, it's actually. I know I'm jumping around a lot, but like he actually had like a relationship with Omni-Man, like they were friends. Like I think that's so interesting, which is why it makes it like even much more sad. I'm assuming we're gonna go to spoilers for this.
Well, we've already talked spoilers.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Everything we do is spoilers.
That's true. Yeah. But I will say the one character that like I wanted to bring him back again. Because I think he's the most unique character they have, is the Immortal. Like, I love that concept of like he's a Superman-like character, but he's experienced and have been to all these events. I'm like, I think that's really interesting, and I feel like they could do more with it.
It's actually interesting to me that a lot of people find him interesting because I actually don't care about him in the slightest. I didn't find him interesting at all.
Okay, dude, I will say though, when they revive him, he is pissed. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like, where is he?
Again, like 2 seconds later.
Oh my god. But like also, I mean, like when Mark gets pissed, I'm like, okay, maybe you are invincible, but like when he's kind of just like, no, but
he's invincible on the inside. He has to build his courage.
Yeah. But there's a lot of really good stuff in this show, really.
But Stephen Yeun and J.K. Simmons, I think, are just the knockout roles. Not only their characters, but also the voice acting they did.
J.K. Simmons
is great.
He probably earned like some kind of like TV award for this. Like it was so good, and especially just in the last episode alone. Like
he lost me in the role because every time I see J.K. Simmons or hear him in something, I'm like, oh, it's J.K. Simmons, and all I can hear is J.K. Simmons. I got to hand it to him in this show. He lost me into that character. Like I just wasn't thinking about it constantly that this is J.K. Simmons like I usually do when I see J.K. Simmons in a movie.
True. So and I think that like he hits everything he needs to. He's like he has that partial like whiplash part of like he's just an asshole, but he also has like the little bit of like the calmer, nicer side. Like I feel like it hits every beat that it needs to, and J.K. Simmons hit all of them.
Yeah. I think that was a perfect casting. Staying with Stephen Yeun, they were both great.
Yeah, no, but I mean, all of them. Like, also another standout because he's in it a lot. The guy who does, who's Robot, I like him too. Like that character.
Zachary Quinto.
Yeah. I said I don't know what the necessity was to have him like the.
I think that was
of Robot be like fucking Quado, but like I don't know.
That was the major plot line I thought was completely unnecessary. Oh no, The other one was the detective devil guy. That was weird.
I think it made sense because like people, but like I mean, Cecil was like, "You're the only one who would probably be able to figure this out, or at least as soon as possible." But like, I do just love the like. I love that scene where like it just gets cold and Cecil's like, "Clear the room." It's like, what the fuck? And it's just
Here's
like,
my take on it. I think I've kind of tried to formulate what like the difference is between this and The Boys for me. I like the idea of that being a superhero is really an exclusivity, and that it's like there's like really this higher power of being a superhero. And I think in this show, it just feels like because of the amount that there seem to be of superheroes, like a focus on the amount of superheroes there are, it kind of draws away from the fact that like they're like different than normal people. I don't know how better to explain this, but like it just feels like because the show focuses so much on all the superheroes and not enough of human characters, I feel like it almost like, for example, when he calls up the devil guy, it's just like, oh yeah, of course he's like some devil. Like why can't I just feel like they need to rely on like a more of a balance, which I think
but I think the thing is that you can't really blame them for that because the thing is the boys did that so well. Is that all of our protagonists aren't superheroes? Like the boys fundamentally isn't a superhero show. It's a show about superheroes. Invincible is a superhero show. I think that's the difference.
You could say that, but I think that The Boys is also about it. It's like it's about. I think it's a balance between those characters and those characters, and it balances them well. I wouldn't
because things
say
like really, other than Starlight, you don't root for any of the superheroes.
Yeah, but they're still main characters.
I guess.
I think both these shows also explore, like being a superhero is not always the best thing, and Invincible does that really well with like, with the teenager aspect, teenagers, we're all like, we want superpowers, we want to be a superhero. But then you look at Mark Grayson, he's like, his relationship with his family is going down. His relationship with Amber is going down. Like he has to sacrifice so much to be what he wants to be.
I will say also, like, I think it works the boys' strength, but it's also its weakness in comparison to Invincible, is that all the heroes are human. Is that like all these people are people that just happen to get superpowers. It's like because of Invincible and its more intergalactic nature. It's like most of the superheroes or things that we do in the show aren't on Earth. Like when he goes to Mars and when he meets like the alien from the Coalition of Planets, or even like Viltrum, like all of these things are extraterrestrial when The Boys is completely based on Earth. And I think that Invincible in the future will continue to use that to its advantage.
Yeah. I think this show has a great future ahead. We only got through about 13, 14 issues, and there's a lot of issues. There's, I think, like 14 years of comic books.
That's the thing, though, because like we were saying, the biggest strength is the father-son dynamic, and now that that's gone, it's like, what are they gonna do? So
it's not necessarily gone. We have not seen the last of.
I know, but I mean, like, it's not gonna be the same. Like, it actually felt like in this first season, at least until like the finale, it felt like a father-son relationship. Like they cared for each other. But then now I feel like
nothing will beat the feeling of watching Mark like slowly realize who his father really is. Like that. I don't even know if the show will in its lifetime will ever even top that moment, because that moment is so like groundbreaking.
We'll have to wait and see.
And it's just
I have read online
But
I have read online that if you want to be surprised on the show, do not read the comics. Do not.
I do not intend on reading the comics, so yeah.
Do not read the comics. I probably won't read it until after the show's done, but it got renewed for season 2 and 3. I'm hoping hoping to at least have the scripts almost done. I mean, like, it doesn't take that long because it's based off of source material. So hopefully it doesn't take that long. I'm hoping they do like season 2 and 3 like kind of back to back.
I'm sure they'll have a bigger budget because of
definitely
following. So they might be able to get it done faster.
I mean, I don't think it will need to be that much bigger of a budget because, like you said, so much of the budget was already committed to the cast. It's like I really don't think that much more will need to go into everything else. Because, like,
I'm saying the show in general will be given a bigger budget by the studio.
Yeah, that's true.
So let's do final thoughts and your letter grade for the show.
Ooh. Like, I think that's the biggest. I guess the problem that Amazon has created is the fact that like people will naturally compare this to The Boys, but like I said, they don't feel like the same show at all. Like
They definitely have, to me, they definitely have similar aspects.
they do, but like The Boys is much darker, much grittier. Like the Invincible has its moments, but overall it's a lot lighter. Like I mean, like a lot of the stuff with Mark, it's just him just trying to go about his life. It feels more emotional in the sense that like they talk about, like especially Mark, they actually talk about their emotions. Like the boys, like, no, we're gonna do this, then we're doing this, and then there's these moments that they open up, but then they close back immediately. So, but like I said, I feel like they are what they talk about even is completely different. Like the social commentary that the boys have is not going to be the same as what Invincible talks about. But overall, it's still a fantastic show, and I love it. And like you said, there's episode 8, the emotional roller coaster of that episode is great. I'm super excited to see where they go with it. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. Even though I have my problems with this show, I think there's a lot of good, and it definitely surprised me in a good way. So I'm really excited to see where it goes. I'm excited for season 2 and 3. I hope that's soon. Probably not till next year for season 2.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of ridiculous to assume that would be late this year. But no, I'm excited for the future of this show. I'm gonna do my best not to get spoiled.
That's gonna be hard. That's gonna be really hard.
Letter grade, shoot. I would probably, I don't know. What would I give this show? I'm struggling. Aiden, did you give yours? I don't think you did.
No.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I think the thing is, I'm trying to because I'm thinking around like a B+ range. But the thing is, I don't know if I like the show more, less, or the same as Falcon. Like, which is what I'm struggling with. Like, because they're trying to compare them. Like,
don't compare them. Just what.
I'm trying not to, but like it's my natural instinct too.
He doesn't, but he's not saying compare them in general. He's just comparing like
by letter grade.
Right, quality of the shows. Like, do they fit in the same?
Oh, this is so.
Ethan, why don't you give yours while Aiden thinks?
Shit. I don't know.
Okay, I'm struggling. It's very good, but it needs to go forward a little bit more. And there was a lot of like stuff throughout the show I didn't like. There were some real high highs. So that's why I'm struggling a bit.
I feel like Falcon the Winter Soldier is a lot more consistent. While this has, it's a little bit more like ups downs. While Falcon,
I'll give it a B. A B. I was going to give it a B-, but like that's just too. It's like too critical. There's some really good stuff in it.
I think now I was erring on the side of B+, but another thing about it, like even though arguably the show has much higher highs than Falcon the Winter Soldier, like Falcon's is way more consistent. But I'm so excited to see where the show goes. So I think I'm in total agreement at a solid B.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to give it a B+. I think the finale was absolutely phenomenal. Almost made me cry.
You did it like I did. Fuck.
It's an amazing show, and as you can tell, we highly suggest watching it. This is such a unique and interesting show, and it has a very long and bright future ahead of itself, with a live action movie possibly coming in the next few years. Let's hope. But yeah, guys, that was our Invincible discussion. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like this video, subscribe, and send this video to your favorite movie loving friend. But until then, guys, stay safe, and we'll see you next time.
Yes.